damn, your voice sounds sexy. You sexy man, you. You're sexy and you got a nice butt.
Yo.
Will never be on the radio.
Cagno Radio. Start now.
Episode 64 of Cagno Radio begins right now. I am warning everybody out there that there has been some Lita Ford that's been sung so far tonight.
Yeah.
We were kind of dissecting the song Kiss Me Once, Kiss Me Twice, Come On Pretty Baby, Kiss Me Deadly.
Yeah.
And Joe pointed out that went to a party last Saturday night, didn't get laid, got in a fight. But then later she
ain't no big thing.
But then she later says, went to a party last Saturday night.
I told you that story, and it'll be all right.
Yeah, so she already she references the fact that, listen, we got that together.
Yeah.
We're already done with that part.
But then she says the line about drinking beers and getting high.
Sitting here watching the time go by.
Yeah.
The other song by her that was huge was the duet that she did with Ozzy Osbourne, which I don't remember how it goes, but I know that she was Lita Ford and he was Ozzy Osbourne, and together they made music.
All I know is the best thing about Lita Ford was the outfit that she's like famous for. That if you watched the rock opera Rock of Ages, the one chick who was on Dancing with the Stars, she's also she was a dancer on Dancing with the Stars. Oh
yeah, you're thinking of she's got the brother who's also a dancer. She's super cute, blonde hair. She was in the Grease.
Yes.
She her name is
Yeah.
I'll look it up while you're talking.
So the outfit that she wore at the end of Rock of Ages is like the outfit that Lita Ford wore, where it's like the ripped up suit coat. It's like a ripped up suit coat, but yet underneath it, she's wearing a leotard and pantyhose. And her hair's like all spiked. I remember as a kid, like I didn't even know.
Juliana Hough is her name.
Yeah. So what she wears at the end of Rock of Ages is like kind of a newer, better version of what Lita Ford wore back in the day. But I remember seeing that like when Lita would wear that and you'd just be like, dang.
You know who was my sort of moment too was, you remember Samantha Fox?
Yes.
Samantha Fox.
Yeah.
I've been told time and time again. She was a porn star.
Oh, geez.
But I didn't know that at the time. I was a kid. You know what I mean? But she was a porn star and also sang. Maybe she was just like a pinup girl.
Yeah.
Naughty girls need love. Bam, too.
Because I think I remember her, Samantha Fox, and like, I don't think she was a adult film star.
I think she may have gotten to that once times
dabbled.
got tough. Well, she was from England, right? And she was a singer.
Oh, and they all do that then.
Well, that's for sure. She was England, duh. But yeah, Lita Ford. I
went to a party last Saturday night. Didn't get laid. Got in a fight.
I want to know more about this fight too. Who was she fighting with?
No big thing.
So wait, so in Rock of Ages,
she was fighting with Susanna Hoffman.
Juliana Hough. Susanna Hough was in the Bangles.
Who was gorgeous
Dude,
too.
She was good.
Holy
Walk like
smoke.
an Egyptian.
Or close your eyes.
Yeah, I heard that the other day, and I was like, this is kind of the jam.
Darling.
That's one of those songs that holds up. You know how there's some songs like Kiss Me Once, Kiss Me Twice, where you hear it and you're like, wow, this was a hit. And it's kind of surprising. It's good for the time.
I'll tell you what it's good for. Driving down Crooks going over M59 and that comes on and you start wailing on the steering wheel and you're like, went to a party on Saturday night. And you're just like, I got out of the car, I wanted to slide across the hood, you know?
Like Dukes of Hazzard style?
I wanted to like knock on your door and then run back to my car and lean up against it.
With shades on?
Yeah, just you could open the door like, what is he doing? And then you could hear my stereo.
You're like, hey, God, wait, I opened the door so it shut off. I have to restart it. I have to restart the car. So just give me a second. I have to restart the car.
1 second. Just walk back in and walk out. As if
Let's take it from the top. Yeah, that is the jam. But yeah, I heard Eternal Flame by the Bangles the other day, and I was like, man, she's got a beautiful voice. Like I was like, she's like the voice of an angel.
Yeah.
And she was kind of dirty too.
She was.
I felt like because she had the big hair, she sort of looked like Jesse Katsopoulos' girlfriend on the original. Do you remember her?
No.
So Jesse Katsopoulos' girlfriend, I can't think of what her name was on Full House. She looked a little bit like Susanna Huff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I just remember.
No, not Susanna Huff. Now we got the names all wrong.
No, Juliana Huff, Susanna Hoffs.
Yeah, Hoffs, like
Yeah.
plural. Like
Yeah.
she's like related somehow loosely to the Hoff.
Yeah, like David Hasselhoff. If his family was coming over to your house, you'd say the Hoffs are coming over.
Susanna was there.
Because you don't want.
I heard she wears a one piece. I mean a two piece.
And that eye makeup. That's what I think got
Yeah.
me as a kid. Like she was like on MTV, like the first girl who was just caked that eye makeup on.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
Just a rocker chick who you're like, well, so you're either from Jersey or New York, one of the two, but
Yeah.
you're definitely from the East Coast.
yeah, or a Valley girl.
Yeah,
but
big hair, lots of eye makeup, ill-fitting clothes, but just sexy. There's just something, and it's funny because when girls nowadays try to dress like the 80s, they just dress in leotards and like fluorescent colors.
Yeah, fluorescent colors.
But
yeah.
like the real 80s is Susanna Hoff.
Yeah, Hoffs.
Hoffs.
Yeah.
And Lita Ford.
Yeah.
Like Lita Ford had probably more holes in her jeans than she did jeans in her jeans.
Yes, you are correct.
And her hair was big, a lot of Aquanet. That's the reason there's a hole in the ozone layer.
Yeah, but that one outfit where it's like the ripped up suit coat.
Yep.
With the leotard, nylons, and tights,
Fishnets.
and then I forgot leg warmers with high heels.
Well, why not?
That was a great look.
She did not want her legs to get cold.
Cold.
So she's going to do that.
Yeah, if you're dancing across the mountain that the Hollywood sign is on, you
much
need
is-
to keep your shins
Truthfully, do you think if we tried, we could get Lita Ford on this podcast?
Yes.
I bet you we can get her on for next week. Should I try to get Lita Ford on?
warm. Absolutely.
See what she's up to.
See what she's
We've
up to, yeah.
never had, the only guest I've ever had on here was We Came as Romans, and we did it over the phone, and I'll be honest with you, it was terrible. Like,
Oh,
they're,
so you're not talking about over the phone. You're talking about having Lita Ford here.
no, I'm saying we could do it
Like
via
she's going to be
Skype.
sitting next to me.
Maybe if we pay enough, we could.
We can't afford a new computer.
It's true. We can't afford one.
We can't afford a new computer.
Thanks to everybody who responded, though, and gave me all the good info. Hopefully, we'll be having a new computer soon.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll get into that in a little bit. We also got some email this week at calcagnoradio@gmail.com. It says, hi, Cal. You and Joe mentioned on the last episode about your fans' base median age. So just wanted to say that I'm 23, and I've been listening to you guys since I first moved to the area 2 years ago. And I've listened to every episode with way too much anticipation for the next.
Oh, perfect.
Probably one of your younger listeners.
Yeah,
but I'm in
absolutely.
good company with you old farts since I'm basically a cranky 75-year-old deep inside. I thought it said creep inside. I
Hey,
relate.
that fits our demo.
Yeah, exactly. I relate way too well to your stories. Thanks for all the laughs. You two make my Wednesday night drive home from work enjoyable. That's from Lauren. So, Lauren, thank you for listening and thanks for emailing us. We really appreciate it. So, she's 23 and likes the show. So, we maybe.
But she's 20. But she's a 75-year-old crotchety woman. She says trapped in a 23-year-old's body.
Yeah.
So it helps us, but again, we're still kind of right back where we are. Like if she's the 23-year-old that all her friends are like, oh, let's not call Lauren. Hey, you guys want to go out? It's Friday.
Yeah.
I went to a party on Saturday night. I called Lauren, but she didn't come out. She wanted to stay in and
But her
listen
name's
to
Lauren.
Cagno.
So Jerk Yorkie. By the way, also got an email on Facebook this week. Somebody had tagged you and wondered where you were at Renshaw's. They had gone to Renshaw's. A guy from Ohio had actually, I don't know if he just happened to be in town,
Oh, really?
but he put a little dot on the map and said, where's Jerk Yorkie? I'm looking for him at Renshaw's Lounge.
Oh, seriously?
So yeah, so you let someone down.
I know. I have to apologize. I've let a lot of people down because I stopped drinking. So I have lots of people that are upset with me for.
Do you realize how bass-backwards that is? I've let people down because I've stopped drinking. Usually it's the other way around, which is I
Cal.
drink too much, so therefore I've let down my friends and family.
You know what? You think I'm being brutally honest. Since I have stopped drinking, my coworkers are mad at me.
Yeah.
They tell me I don't act the same. They're like, you're
Were
not
you drinking at work? What do you mean?
No, like, exactly. Like, no. But I'm like, what are you guys talking about? They're like, you're just not the same anymore. You know, like this and that. And I'm like, you guys are insane. And then, like, when I was drinking, I'd be like, hey, you guys want to go out, after work, grab
Yeah.
a beer, it's Friday. And they're all like, no, I got my kids. I got to do this. I got to do that. So we'd go out, like, maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months after work. Now these guys are going every week, every Friday, and
You should be the guy that still goes but doesn't drink, because that hardly makes everybody uncomfortable.
well, the thing is, like, from work, we always like to go to River Rouge.
Don't give it away.
Oh, yeah,
We
yeah.
talked about this
We
earlier.
always like to go to Hopcat. And so, and so now, like, I'm not drinking, and everybody's like, everybody's just so mad at me. Like,
Okay, well, I'm not mad at you.
it's one of those things that it's like really weird because like you watch like Hallmark movies and after school specials about someone who stops drinking. Now, mind you, I didn't stop because I was like an alcoholic.
Right.
I stopped because I want to start losing weight. And then,
You don't like gluten.
yeah. And so I'm like, well, I
don't
can't.
like yeast.
I've tried losing weight while not stopping drinking, and it doesn't work.
Right.
Because you get a couple beers in you, and then you're like, yeah, a large pizza sounds good. So I stopped drinking, and now I'm losing weight, and I'm down about 10 pounds. But it's
It is funny, though, when you meet somebody who doesn't drink at the age that we are now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to throw it out there because Lauren's 23 and likes the show, so we don't need to make ourselves sound any older. But, yeah, you meet somebody, and I'm, the king of questions anyways, right? Like, I want to know everything about everyone.
Uh-huh.
And so if somebody, like, doesn't drink, I'm like, was there a problem? Are you? And then I act like I can't drink because they don't drink.
Right.
Like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're not going to drink. And then you get to the
well,
next.
my friends aren't like that. They continue to drink, and then they badmouth me, and then try and peer pressure me into drinking. And I'm like, guys, what happens if I was trying to stop drinking because I had a problem?
That's different.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
what they tell me. Well, that's different. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to lose weight. Like I'm,
They're just eating ham sandwiches in front of you,
I'm just
licking
like,
their
come
lips.
on, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you're not drinking.
So I'm not drinking. So I'm not at Rennie's. And then the other thing is, Rennie's has great food, but again, like being on my diet, like I've just stayed because it's bar food. Now, mind
Right.
you, I can go. They have great salads and like antipasta salads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I just
They have great soup, sandwiches,
I just
and
haven't
desserts.
been in
They're
there.
open 7 days a week. Call them. Email them
I
online.
will-
You just do a whole commercial for them.
right.
I'm like, did you just set up a deal with them? Do you have a deal behind
I'm
my
like, no.
back?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I want to thank Steve and his fine staff.
I remember there was I forget what even bar it was, but there was a bar that was around in Detroit years ago, and every time I would hear their commercial on 97.1, it would be like, I want to thank, you know what? You got to go see Jake and his fine staff. And I always thought that was really weird wording to say fine staff. And why do they have to say the name of the owner and his fine staff?
Right.
And then we met with them at 89X, and he was like, yeah, if you want to do the spots or whatever, you can do them, Cal, whatever. Just make sure you put in there you want to thank Steve and his fine staff. And I was
You're
like, oh, you're Steve, and you want that in there, but you don't.
Oh, you're Steve, and this is your fine
Yeah,
staff.
but you don't want to have it be like, hey, I want my own name in the spot, because that would sound sort of douchey. So you're just going to put fine staff in there as if like the waitresses don't see what you just did there.
Right.
They're like, oh my God, it's so nice of Steve.
Right.
He's got the guy on the radio talking
Steve's
about us.
always looking out for us.
Yeah, look at us.
We get a free.
We get $2.52
like on
an
our
hour.
breaks. On our breaks, we get a free appetizer
Blooming onion.
and a fountain drink.
Yeah, we can have fountain drink,
blooming onion.
but we have to drink them out of
Blooming
those.
diarrhea.
We got to drink the pop out of those cones, those weird cones. You ever see that when you go to a restaurant and the people who work there aren't allowed to have an actual like cup because that costs money?
No,
so they
I've
make.
never seen this.
You've never have? Jimmy John's does this. So at Jimmy John's, I've noticed they look like they're like a cone.
Yeah, like the cup dispensers.
Like you would see if you went to like McDonald's Playland.
or like a water cooler.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what they drink pop out of. So like they're like going on my break, and then they take one of those, have 1 ounce of pop, and then throw it away, and you're like, oh,
But
because
wouldn't a flat bottom seem better because you could like set that somewhere?
Or you could just
You
write
can't
your
set a
name
co-
on write your name on it, but it's like for inventory purposes, right? Like somewhere Jimmy John is doing. Excuse me, whatever Jimmy John does, and he's like doesn't want people to, take any more
He
cups.
makes freaky fast subs fast and fresh. That's what he does. And he puts mayonnaise on every one.
I had to order some.
went to a bar Saturday night. Didn't get laid. I got in the fight. You want to know what about this song? When he goes, it ain't no big thing. I think
It's not he, it's she who sings the song.
I know.
Yeah.
But when they say that, when she says that, it ain't no big thing. I think of
The Jersey Shore.
no, I think of Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber when they're riding in the van and he's singing and
When he's saying mock, yeah, ing, yeah.
yeah, and he gets to that point where he kind of
I'm
like,
gonna buy you a mucking pan.
and then he goes, "Have you heard?" Like that type of thing. That's what I
Have
think of.
you heard?
That's what I think of. So go on about Jimmy John's and
Yeah,
mayonnaise.
so anyway, so Jimmy John's, and I ordered some catering the other day from Jimmy John's, and here's the thing, Jimmy John's, if you're listening and you want to sponsor the show, we'd love to have you sponsor the show, but also
just lay off the mayonnaise.
lay off the mayonnaise, but you also don't do a good job of your portion size. Like I had to feed 50 people, and I went online and I said, okay, this should feed 50 people. I'm not exaggerating. They had taken 5 subs and cut them into 3s.
Oh,
How much? That's feeding 50 people? I can eat a whole sub by myself.
right.
So if you cut a regular sub into 3s, like, and here's the thing, on their website, had they said, you know what I mean, one, let's say we're going to cut it in half, and each one's a third or each one's a half or whatever, I would have done the math in my head. But I had to, when I got to Jimmy John's, I had to order a whole nother 2 trays of subs, therefore tripling the order, which would have been more money for Jimmy John's. But either way, I ordered it without the mayonnaise, and like 7 different people came up to me at this event I was at and was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you could order these without the mayonnaise. I'm like, what?
That's awesome.
But they wanted
That's
it without
exactly
the
what I said.
Yeah, but you didn't know you could order without the mayonnaise. Like, it's not, Burger King. You don't have to have it your way, but you could just say no mayo. So I got every one of the subs without mayo.
But
and
I'm
these people were
guessing-
coming up like, thank you so much for getting it without the mayonnaise. I'm like,
Exactly, because I think people are like me. When you go in there and you're like, oh, the Italian nightclub sounds good. You read the first couple things, like, okay, it's got capicola and zappatini and you buca de pepo, and it's got all that stuff. You read kind of the meats because you assume there's going to be lettuce, tomato, but that's a huge paragraph, and I don't have time
right,
to
well,
read
yeah, there's
all
just
of that.
many things going on.
And then they put like,
every sub comes with mayo and whatever.
yeah, like at the bottom of it, and I'm just like, I don't read that whole thing. I'm like, I start to read it. Okay, that one's roast beef, and then I skip to the next one. That one's turkey. Okay, I'll have the roast beef one.
So I have a
Who puts mayonnaise on roast beef? That's disgusting. I mean, at least Arby's came up with the Arby's sauce,
Right.
Where it's like horseradish and mayonnaise together.
well, yeah, the horsey
Which is-
sauce. You mean the horse?
Horsey
the Arby's
sauce.
sauce is a barbecue.
Yeah, the
Okay,
horsey sauce,
and-
which is palatable.
Yes, everybody out there, if you have not figured this out yet, I've heard this, and then I said it to somebody the other day, and they were like, "Oh my God, I feel like I've just seen God to his face." Arby's stands for RB roast beef. Did you
Right.
know that?
Yeah.
Okay, because I told somebody that, and they were like, "What?" I'm like, "Say Arby's." And they're like, "Arby's," and I'm
And they're like, I hear Yanny. So stupid. What a cheap laugh. What a cheap laugh, but it felt good. It felt good.
Okay, so anyway. The thing that's so crazy about that whole thing is everyone listening knows what we're talking about. Everyone knows what we're talking about. Okay, so the other day, Wendy goes, she's going to be mad that I told this story, but the other day, Wendy goes to Jimmy John's. She's supposed to go to Jimmy John's on her way home from church. This is what she's supposed to be doing. She's volunteering at church. She said on the way home, she's going to pick up Jimmy John. She comes, Yanny. So Wendy gets home and
Glasses are all steamed up.
and she gets home and she says to me, "Oh man, they forgot the chips and the pickles." So I'm like, "Well, what'd they give you?" And she goes, "Oh, just the sandwiches." So I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's not the end of the world. Maybe later you can go back and just say, hey, listen, you forgot to give us the sandwiches, or you forgot to give us the pickles and the chips. And she's like, now, mind you, we live over by Meadowbrook, like the music festival. We live over there. This was out by the Palace. So this is probably 15 minutes away. Like, I know everyone's like, that's not that far. It's that far when you're hungry and it's, 12:30 on a Sunday.
For pickles and chips.
Yeah, exactly. So we have these sandwiches. So I open mine, and it's supposed to be turkey and like lettuce and tomato, and like it's called the Beach Club, and it has guacamole on it. And I bite through it, and it is, and I'm not exaggerating, 17 pieces of cheese. It's like cheese, like pure, like a block of cheese. And she bites into hers, and she's like, why is this only cheese? There's no turkey on this. And we look, and it says 13 on it. So we ordered the 12, not the 13. So I'm like, okay, son of a mother. You know what? They screwed this up.
Jimmy effed us over again.
Yeah, Jimmy screwed this up. I'm going back there. But don't kid yourself. What I decided to do first was call the local Jimmy John's down the street and say, are you owned by the same person? Because I don't want to drive all the way back to the other one. Can you just give me different food? Guy goes, doesn't work like that. Sorry. Hangs up the phone. Which is a whole different part of my anger. So now I'm fuming.
I kind of want to hang out with that guy.
Yeah.
I need him to work where I work.
So I'm fired up, right? So I'm like, okay, here's the deal. I'm gonna go back in there, and
I'm gonna go over there and beat him to death.
I go to the Jimmy John's that Wendy had gone to. Now I've got these cheese sandwiches that are not right. I'm missing 3 bags of chips and 2 pickles. As we're pulling up, I look at the receipt. The receipt says that she ordered 2 13s, which is these cheese sandwiches, and she didn't pay for any pickles or chips. And I'm in the parking lot. I go in, and I'm like, hi, my wife was just here. She ordered 12s, but we got 13s by accident. Can I just get 2 12s or whatever? And the guy goes, oh, yeah, she's the one who came up to the window. And I go, came up to the window? She went to the drive-thru? Bypassed the box altogether, just drove to like the end of the line.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So she had like neglected to tell me that. And so these guys not only knew the order, what she ordered, but knew the exact moment she was there, because they were like, yeah, we didn't understand why she like bypassed like the, hey, Jimmy John's, can I help you? She went right to the end.
Right.
Like where you pick up the food to order.
She's like, I thought you were freaking fast.
So now I'm standing there, and I'm like, yeah, and also we're missing 3 bags of chips. And they go, do you have the receipt? And I paused, and I was like, no, because it was in the car. I didn't have the receipt. So at that point, I said, I'll buy the chips, and I'll buy the pickle if I need to, but can I at least swap out the sandwiches? He's like, well, she ordered a 13, not a 12. I asked her, was it 13 or 15? What do you want? And I'm like, we wanted 12. So now I'm like, crap, I'm all the way back here. I want to kill the other guy from the other Jimmy John's who hung up on me. And I got this guy in front of me who not only knows my order, but knows my wife skipped over the box. Yeah. And it's like, remembers the whole thing. He was nothing but nice. He was like, listen,
Did you come back and pitch her down the stairs?
Domestic abuse is not funny at all.
No, it's not.
Anyways, no, but so he swapped up the sandwiches. I ended up buying a pop. We left or whatever, and I picked up the phone and I said, did you forget to tell me something about your trip to Jimmy John's? She's like, did they tell you what I did? And I'm like, yeah, they told me what you did. I'm like, they remember, like, you were so memorable, they're probably talking about this right now. Like, you're going to be the talk at the Christmas party this year when they finally all go out for drinks. They're like, we should meet up for drinks. Let's do it for Christmas.
Yeah.
We'll wear ugly Christmas sweaters.
The inner office memorandum, like the newsletter, where
they'll be
come
like,
out
remember that time that chick pulled up to the box?
Yeah.
She pulled up right to the window. Who does that?
Right, like when Facebook first started and those things would pop up for like top 10 crazy things IT people get, requests IT guys get, and it'll be like the Jimmy John's thing. It'll be like, yeah, some chick just bypassed the box and was looking for cheese sandwiches. Like that.
I lied to them. I lied to them.
That sounds like war food. Like people in the war ate a cheese sandwich. Yeah, and I'm not talking like Lauren, you're 23. I'm not talking about Desert Storm. I'm not talking about, even bringing it even further. We're going back to when we fought the Kaiser. That's when people ate
Yeah.
cheese sandwiches.
And for the record, I'm not exaggerating when I say there had to have been 9 pieces of cheese on this thing. It was cheese.
well, I would hope if you ordered a cheese sandwich.
Well, I think it's like I think it's like their veggie sandwich or like someone who doesn't eat meat. Yeah, it's not good. But either way, I ended up with 3 bags of chips, 2 pickles, and the 12s. And they're like, well, you can keep the 13s or whatever. And I'm like, I don't want the 13s.
You're like, dang straight, I'm keeping the 13s because I'm going to put that cheese on this sandwich.
You're stealing, right to jail. You're playing music too loud, right to jail, right away. You're driving too fast, jail. Slow, jail. You're charging too high prices for sweaters, glasses. You right to jail. You undercook fish, believe it or not, jail. You overcook chicken, also jail. Undercook, overcook. You make an appointment with the dentist and you don't show up, believe it or not, jail, right away. We have the best patients in the world because of jail.
Cagno Radio.